Okay, so cyber empathy. Empathy comes from the word pathos. It means with feeling, and so empathy means to have that biological connection to another living thing. It's difficult to have empathy for an iPad. It's difficult to have empathy. You can mourn its loss. You can have a desire for it. That's not the same as empathy. If somebody were to break your iPad, you would have a feeling of frustration and anger and so on, but it's not empathy. It's an emotional reaction that comes from an attachment. So, with that in mind, empathy is a biological function. It's a biological gift, and it allows us to feel and appreciate and travel along the interconnection of all living systems. The cyber is not separate from the universe. Love is the only reality. But the cyber, in my opinion, I'm not talking about the title, I think that's good, but the concept of cybernetics, the concept of cyborg, and the other things, there's a strength and there's a lot of possibility, but there's also a danger. Because if we imagine that interconnectivity is a product of technology, which is what cyber tends to point towards, then there is a medium of control and a medium of manipulation that can be used by people in positions of desire for such control. I am absolutely not talking conspiracy stuff here. I'm merely saying that the cybernetic realm is seductive and attractive, but it tends to atrophy or deaden our natural abilities to connect. So because our children have a connection to the cyber world, but they're not part of it to the same extent as many other children, we can see the lack of empathy that a cyber obsession brings. So your website, CyberEmpathy, I think is a very positive bridge to recognize the potential of biology to want, desire, and make connection. And the cyber is a vehicle for that. But if the cyber comes first, then the empathy could end up being a marketed product of a cyber construct, as opposed to a natural ability of living systems, which then choose to explore cybernetics or choose to explore cyber. In other words, keep it simple. If we can remember, retain, and develop our empathic biological consciousness, our awareness, then we will feel that connection, the telepathy, the telekinesis, the ability to read the land, the ability to look up and know that you're part of this and that, and it's all one. Then, by all means, you can choose to explore the cyber realm if that is your inclination. But if your access to those other realms is channeled through technology, we don't get an opportunity, in my opinion, to develop our supreme potential. And therefore, for instance, we can only drive one car at a time. And that car is one of what seems to be a huge range of choice. But there's no car individually designed. They're designed for the masses. And we have the illusion of choice between the Apple and the PC. Democrat, Republican. The illusion of choice. But in actual fact, the movement towards liberating the biology, it's the opposite. So it is my drive, my impulse, my desire to empower myself, my family, and anybody that wishes to be there to free themselves from all limits of self-restraint, all limits of self-perception, to step into the role as the creator, and to do so with the empathy that comes from conscious awareness. And as I say, then you can choose, having developed that power and that love, that you can then choose to explore the cyber from a place of power, not from a place of weakness or manipulation. So I know many people who would be lost without the Facebook, who would be lost without their internet, their phone. And I use it as every day a little bit more consciously, but I'm totally of that ilk. Like if I lost my phone, I would have to really think about what's next. And so I'm aware of that. This is probably more information than you asked for, is it? But to get back on track, the cyber empathy, I think, is a very good title for what it is you guys are putting together. It is a bridge, but I would be seeking to build the foundation of the bridge on biology and then rise from there. If we don't do it in that way, we lose what it is to be human, and we lose what it is to be part of a living matrix. We become something separate from that. And that's okay, because that's part of the exploration too, you know? I just choose not to align with that in that way. But cyber means interconnection, but it's not the full picture.
Thank you.
Is that okay?